BMW M4 versus Audi RS5, almost 1000 horsepower in this comparison review. You wanted to see more comparisons? Well, that's what you get. Let's go. Well, it's not too easy to get out here when we park the cars directly next to each other. But the cool thing about coupes here is you just lower the window, can get out like this in narrow parking lots, and then usually have this comfort close function. So you hold the close key and then the window goes up. Yeah, and then you're in and out in an easy way without damaging the other precious vehicle. Please subscribe to us if you haven't done so far and leave us a thumbs up if you like this video. Here, right or left, the BMW, yeah, clearly Thomas blue color for me. I'm also wearing the blue jacket, but it doesn't mean that I'm biased towards the BMW. Let's see how that one turns out. Double kidney, huge vertical and horizontal, really big dimension. But if you compare the Audi, I mean, this is also a big front grille. So yeah, meanwhile we know that this is a very large one. Headlamps start with LED with both vehicles. However, here optional the laser light at the BMW, but this is not the laser light. This is the base LED for the M4, and there you see the daytime running light is also not that accentuated. It would look, a little bit more accentuated than with the optional lighting. And carbon fiber package we have here today for the M4. Whereas with the Audi RS5 we have a little bit more angular Audi design look. Matrix LED is standard here, and optional there is the laser light in this vehicle here today, and also with the carbon fiber package. Huge front grille as well, black accentuations, high gloss black, and this Ur Quattro quotes from the first Quattro vehicle by Audi, this design, but it's it's closed here in this case. Well, what do you think? What would be your first design pick when looking at this front? Really looking forward to your feedback. What an exciting episode. I mean, Autogefühl means car feeling, and surely these cars do fit to our main channel slogan. 4.72 m or 186 inches in the length for the Audi RS5, whereas we go 8 cm or 3 inches longer with the BMW M4. But definitely both in the very same segment, so approximately the same. Also pricing wise, approximately the same. You start less than 100,000 euros for both vehicles, and with more extra equipment both over 100,000 euros or dollars. Whereas the M4 is a couple of thousand euros less expensive actually. Interesting. Wheels start usually with the M4, 18-inch in the front, 19-inch in the rear, and then optional 19-inch in the front or 20-inch in the rear for the M4 Competition, for example, as standard. Here, however, winter tires, 19-inch front and the rear, in case you wonder. And when you go for the optional ceramic brakes, we have them here in the front and in the back, whereas with the RS5, when you go for the optional ceramic brakes, you only have them in the front, but then they're of course also less expensive. Well, it looks a little bit small than for the normal brakes in the rear in comparison then. As for the suspension, it's interesting, both start with a fixed sport suspension, and if you want a different ride or more comfortable ride or more variety between sportiness and comfort, here you can go for the DRC. We also have it here today. That's a dynamic ride control, and then you can have 3 different settings from comfort, normal and sporty, whereas with the BMW M4 the option there is an adaptive suspension that also has settings, but is always within these settings, varying between. So suspension wise it sounds like it's more comfortable with the M4, but effectively driving wise we really have to say the M4 feels stiffer. But more of that in the driving part very soon. You can get a carbon fiber roof for both vehicles or a panoramic roof. Here in this case today we have a carbon fiber roof for the M4, whereas we have a just closed roof for the RS5. Let's get towards the rear. This is really interesting. Both have a carbon fiber lip then here in this carbon package, and a nice LED signature for both vehicles. Audi once again more rectangular design, whereas the BMW a little bit more central swinging lines here, and in the lower part both with a huge diffuser. And with the BMW M4 we have 4 pipes here, very visible, And with the Audi, this is the optional sports exhaust. Here you can see with the black pipe, 2 big pipes, but on the inside they're also split and you can clearly see the exhaust valve. V6 versus inline 6, this is the question for the day. So 3-liter inline 6-cylinder with the BMW M4, 480 horsepower, usually 510 horsepower today with the competition package. And rear-wheel drive only for this model, but however you can also get an all-wheel drive model if you want at a later stage. Whereas the Audi RS5 is always all-wheel drive, quattro, 40% front, 6% in the rear is the standard distribution. Here we have 450 horsepower, so a little bit less horsepower. However, the acceleration figures both 3.9 seconds. In this case here, again, the all-wheel drive model of the M4 will be the fastest then. If you compare the Newton meter figures, here 600 Newton meters of torque, whereas the BMW M4 goes with 550 in the standard model or 650 then more here in the competition model. And design-wise, well, you see here this RS carbon fiber covering, 500 euros extra if you want that. And then this looks better than this does. No Autogefühl comparison without the key fobs. Well, in this case, a little bit unfair because this is an optional key fob here of the BMW M4. You can also get a normal one and you also get a secondary normal one with the vehicle if you order this special one. The Audi here quite slim and light, but both from high quality. And door closing sounds here with the Audi today. And then with the M4. I would say the Audi sound a little bit better, or what do you think? Let's start the interior with the BMW M4. You can see here the M steering wheel with the contrast stitches on the inside, carbon fiber use, shifting pedals here also with the carbon fiber cover, 12.3-inch digital instruments as standard, and you cannot configure that much on them. And the seat either comes with a normal sport seat or this one here in a special performance package with the bucket seat. Some Alcantara use, but still a lot of animal skin use. But it looks really, really fancy. But will it offer some comfort? We will soon check that one out. Let's take a look at the RS5 in comparison. So this sport seat here is standard, so there's no option. But usually it would come with Alcantara on the inside, so a wider Alcantara surface for the Audi. That's definitely better than in the M4. And we also have this lovely Alcantara steering wheel here. That's really my favorite RS badge and just offers the best grip, and I would always go for this one. Also 12.3-inch digital instruments, and here with Audi you can adjust them a little bit more. Let's get inside the BMW M4. Of course a shoe tab here, famous. And well, headroom wise no problem with 1m86 or 6'1". And well, this seat here is really, really stiff everywhere. It's really suitable for the racetrack, and the moment you sit here and think like, oh, I can't drive for a longer time in this one. But the funny thing is that on long term, it's of course not the most comfortable vehicle overall, but these optional sport seats are more comfortable than the base sport seats, for whatever reason. The only thing is here, you know, this stiff carbon fiber part here in the middle, right here. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't need a carbon fiber between my legs to have something stiff between my legs. Oh. So, and then steering wheel up and down, in and out, smooth process. However, the form is to me not that pleasing than with the Audi RS5. This M steering wheel form is a little bit thick here in the upper areas. Interesting that we have these configurable M buttons here, left and right side, so you can adjust them M1 or M2 and have really sporty settings on them then. And digital instruments, once again, they're actually quite good to read. You have also an optional head-up display. Middle part here, 10-inch central screen. Latest voice input, that's better with the BMW. The map is really responsive, like that. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is wireless only. And you can also have the M menu here with all the settings. Configure your M1 and M2 settings and engine, transmission, chassis, steering, brake, DSC. Really individualizable, this vehicle. Climate unit, gladly still with a manual control right here, like that. Carbon fiber used for the middle area here, middle console, and then it's an inductive charging pad. The Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is only wirelessly, and sometimes that's a little bit annoying because the connection, sometimes just for a brief of a second, is getting lost when hearing music, and to me that's really annoying. I prefer that when you still have the cable option. Interesting also, this area, you can not only use the touchscreen but also have it here while driving, for example, this turning and pressing knob with some hotkeys. Here you can adjust the shifting characteristics and also go to the M mode and the setup. So this car can be individualized for the racetrack. That's the special thing. A little bit more complicated in the user interface than the Audi. And some more space underneath with a USB-C charger. And one detail saying I'm the racier car of both. Here, this top part here of the head restraint, you can remove that with, pulling some screws. And then you can have your helmet inside the vehicle without, hitting this here. So to make it even slimmer. Again, one detail that says the M4 is the more racy car in comparison. And sitting in the rear, here the BMW M4 works headroom-wise when I'm a little bit cramped, but legroom-wise is important. It works with 4 tall adults overall in the vehicle. These bucket seats are very slim. That's why, that could be something you can argument, when you talk to your partner, like, yeah, I need to get the sporty bucket seats because more space in the rear, Now getting inside the Audi RS5, and there is a feature here which also shows that this car is more leaning towards a little bit more comfort. Well, you remember with the M4, we could, put out a part in the head restraint to make it racier for wearing a helmet on the racetrack. That's not possible here. But what's possible then here is, close the door, and then here, there's this seatbelt reacher, so you can easily get the seatbelt. That does not exist for the M4. And that, again, shows these small little nuances make the difference, where the RS5 goes a little bit more in the comfort direction and the M4 a little bit more goes in the racy direction. Sitting here in the RS5 is also a big difference. You sit higher, of course, especially if you have the bucket seats with the M4. In these standard performance seats with the RS5, you feel you're just higher, not that low on the road, and that again speaks for this, small difference. Steering wheel, I love the Alcantara steering wheel, up and down, in and out. And to me, it has the better size. It's smaller, it's slimmer. The steering wheel is racier. The Audi Virtual Cockpit 12.3 inch is fancier. You can still get analog gauges here as standard, but you should go for these ones because then you can have the map all over the place. So you're just more flexible with that, and it's also a very crystal clear view. And also a head-up display is available. Then in the middle part, a new 10-inch screen since the facelift of the RS5 Coupé both, and also for the Sportback. Easy to control, touch only, but the user interface is really straightforward. And you can also individualize your RS buttons, for example, because in the RS mode, which you can set on the steering wheel, you can go to the Audi Drive Select, and then here RS1 and RS2, and there can also change the different settings. So, like a similar system than BMW is using, just that you have one RS button for that on the steering wheel. GPS is also really responsive and a clear display, and Apple CarPlay and Auto is here available both wirelessly and with a cable. And well, sorry BMW, but this is the reason why the Audi wins for me in the interior. Yeah, I just love this AC unit. What a nice sound when turning it, and it's just so easy and straightforward to use. Yeah, and this is also quite fancy with the hovering functions right there. So to me, the Audi overall a more straightforward user interface. Lower part than USB-A device, adaptive cup holders, and then nice Alcantara covering also here for the automatic shifting lever. Yeah, however, the BMW would also be available as a manual. That is not possible here. And one of the unknown awesome details in the Audi is here, the cup holders are designed in a way, together with the key, that the key directly fits in here and is really fixed and well stored. Well, and rear seating in the RS5 Coupé, both headroom-wise and legroom-wise, not that good as in the BMW M4 Coupé. And the reason is here, the thick seats, especially in comparison to the bucket seats. So if you would have the M4 with the normal sport seats, the difference wouldn't be that large. But then the difference here to the M4 with bucket seats to here, clearly I cannot sit well here, and also headroom wide, it gets close, yeah. So not really four-tall adult proof here in the RS5 Coupé. That's the reason why Audi is offering the RS5 Sportback then. So what can you load in these performance mid-size coupés? Let's compare the trunks or the boots. Here, the width is a little bit less than a meter or less than 40 inches. The length here in the M4 is 36 inches or around 90 centimeters. So that's shorter than in the RS5. However, the height here is quite good. This is 20 inches or around 50 centimeters. Whereas now in the RS5, and you see we folded also seats with both vehicles, that's possible. Here, the RS5 is longer here, the normal trunk length, so almost a meter or almost 40 inches. The width is also a little bit more, however it's a little bit less deep, so here 19 inches or a little bit less than 50 centimeters, so that's the difference. Overall, I have to say then the RS5 a little bit better usable in the trunk. Welcome to Thomas's Active Comparison Driving Lounge. We're starting with the newer vehicle, the BMW M4. We go here to the M mode button that we have the speed in the middle part, and also assistance systems are drawn back. And we also go to the M1 mode. That's totally fine for public roads right here. And of course it's dry today, so that's fine. And we start about 50 kilometers an hour, and let's see. That's 180 kilometers an hour. Whoa, 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 whoa. Impressive. So, of course, we do have the rear-wheel drive version here. As I said today, that does feel different than the all-wheel drive acceleration. If we at some point have the all-wheel drive model of the M4, then it's even a little bit faster and will be the fastest overall then. But of course, I mean, it just feels more extreme than the RS5 does. And even if we are at speed here, like 140 kilometers an hour, and I floor it down, that's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, and there's still always something coming. A little bit more nervous on the road than the RS5 is, so more engaging, definitely sportier, but also I would say a little bit less balanced in a way. So I mean, in every kind of way. And another example is also really very good braking performance. Oh, hello M4 Competition. Somehow I triggered the voice control here. So another example is here, when I go to the M2 mode, for example, the car automatically switches in the manual shifting mode, and it stays that way. And only if I deactivate it here, then it goes to the automatic shifting mode. And that also again tells you something about the philosophy of this vehicle. The whole philosophy of this vehicle is really race first. Whereas the RS5 is, yeah, I'm racy, but still somewhat the compromise comfort and raciness first, Being in the tunnel, of course, we can shift down ourselves here with the pedals. That's here. Whoa. Yeah, definitely. Sound-wise, engine responsiveness-wise, I mean, we have a little bit more in the Newton meters here as well with the M4 in comparison to the RS5. How the setup is being done, so the things you can change around, and what's the basic setup for this vehicle. Also suspension-wise, this is definitely stiffer than the RS5 is. So although we have 19-inch wheels here today for this one, for the M4, and 20-inch for the RS5, this one here is stiffer because the suspension is just stiffer. Would it still be, usable everyday as an everyday driver, number one vehicle? Yeah, somewhat, because we have the adaptive suspension here, so that's somewhat okay. Steering is extremely direct, however, not as progressive as with the RS5. So here in the low degree angles, that one is a little bit more loose and not that responsive as with the RS5. To me, the RS5 has the better steering feeling. It just feels more precise. And this one here, yeah, here a little bit, not enough. And then here it increases too much. So I think overall with the BMW 3 Series, they didn't get the steering ratio quite right, and I said it a lot of times before in 3 Series review. The BMW 3 Series is supposed to be the reference point for BMW in the core brand sportiness and the steering feeling. But that's the vehicle which has the worst steering feeling at BMW. That's one of the biggest criticism points here to me about this car. And one more time, we're gonna accelerate. Oh. Oh. And this is here my Nürburgring Nordschleife corner where I can drive higher motorway speed. Whoa, and this car feels so aggressive. Still hooks up to the road quite well, and you hear the wind noises, so it is definitely louder than in the normal 4 Series or 3 Series. So you always feel that with the M models, they, you know, someone don't pay the biggest attention to sound dampening because probably they want to have the customer to experience the engine sound a little bit more. That's also on the cost of the wind noise. Then I also feel that it is here a little bit louder than in the RS5 overall. But the coolest thing about this vehicle is definitely the engine. It's so extremely responsive. Yet again, if you keep it cruise control motorway, oh yes, and by the way, we also have a cruise control in here, then you can even go some like 9 liters, 1 kilometer, so some 30 mpg regions. Well, of course, if you floor it out, then rather, you know, the like 11, 12 liters, 1 kilometers, 20 mpg regions. Welcome to the tunnel. Yeah. Once again, why not? And now we're going up Autogefühl's peak, see about the driving agility of this thing. See here, steering, we have to turn it quite a lot, but whoa. I can't believe how responsive this inline 6-cylinder is. It's just amazing. No turbo lag at all. This is, whoa. It's really so, I mean, it's smooth, but so responsive at the same time. Now the rear-wheel drive only helps me spinning the car a little bit around, getting just a little bit loose at the rear end without losing control. Once again, the steering is too loose, however. In the low degree areas here, yeah, that could have been definitely made better. But wow, what a fun machine. This is pure awesomeness going up the hill here. Yeah, the road is a little bit wet. That again increases the slippery actions. Shifting back ourselves. What a joy. And of course a big test here, and there the rear-wheel drive of the M4 will have an advantage when we go here into this hairpin corner. Just keep it in second gear. Yeah, definitely. This is of course really cool, getting out of the corner very well. And this is of course always where the rear-wheel drive has an advantage. So that's definitely better as for this respect. There will, of course, as I said, also be the all-wheel drive version. It will still be rear-wheel biased, so, and you can also decouple it and go rear-wheel drive only again, predominantly for the track. So this will also be possible, but whew, that was fun. And now welcome to the Audi RS5 Coupé. We put it here in the RS2 mode, the sportiest mode that is available. Set all on the performance. We know the acceleration figure is the same, but here then with the all-wheel drive. And what about the sound? How will this one here perform and feel? Will it be different? Let's see. We'll start here about 30 kilometers an hour and accelerate it out. Let's go. And that's 200, whoa, 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. And once again, great acceleration, more, you know, well distributed, of course, with the all-wheel drive, and here lane change. And I mean, the suspension is also quite stiff, but I still feel more comfort, although we have bigger wheels here, 20-inch wheels. So more comfort definitely with the RS5, and I have to say, the steering super precise, also at high speeds here, and it just gives me a safer feeling. This car definitely gives me a more subtle and more safe feeling. That's really, really, really interesting. Now, let's test the brakes. Here, hard on the brakes, down to 100. Wow, also braking performance, really, really good. Although we only have the ceramic brakes here in the front, but definitely more than enough for the braking performance, no problem at all. And this is really a very interesting finding. So if you compare them here, the RS5 and the M4, the M4 just has this raciness also in the driving, and there's sometimes a little bit feeling of not 100% in control, you know what I mean? But that's maybe what you want to have. But here you have a lot of performance as well, but you feel 100% in control all the time. And to me, it's somehow the better feeling. I like to be like 100% certain. So, slow down the window, being in a tunnel here. Yeah. Oh, that was a nice upshift here. That sounded very nice. I also like that in the RS mode, the head-up display also changes the appearance and gives also now, you know, the ref counter in there. That's definitely really, really cool. So sound-wise, yeah, the M4 sounds a little bit more extreme, I think. Oh, what's your take on that? Definitely both cars are pushing adrenaline, no doubt about that. And definitely the RS5, somehow this more safer feeling, both from the steering input, suspension wise, also of course that the rear end cannot brake oh. There's a tuned Polo GTI, very interesting, probably wants to race us, but of course we always keep with the speed limits, we only accelerate out where it's really allowed. I still need my driver's license for the very next review, definitely. Come on, let's catch up to that GTI. So yeah, during our shooting today, we also met some of the Autogefühl fans and asked us when the episode is coming alive, when it's airing. So it's always nice to see you guys out there. Yeah, sometimes just coincidence when you meet us when we film somewhere, usually somewhere over the world. Of course, recently only in Germany, but always great to meet some of you out there. Such a joy. Awesome, really, really awesome. And once again, this really controlled feeling is what I love about this vehicle. It is a flawless performance car. It's not the most extreme, not the most extraordinary one, but it is a flawless driving experience, a flawless sporty driving experience. That's how is, you know, you're characterizing the RS5. One more acceleration, let's use the shifting pedals, go down and then in the ref limiter. And this long turn here, my Nürburgring Nordschleife corner, 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles per hour. And here again, the car just feels more balanced than the M4 on the road. Really interesting. So at the end of the day, I would probably dare more in this vehicle than I would in the M4. And yeah, and really for you that can speak for or against one or another, but definitely a very interesting finding that although a lot of the facts and figures are so equal with these two vehicles, in the driving feeling you definitely get the, you know, these maybe little but definitely defining differences. Every red traffic light is in this case then here a reward, because that's when you come to a full stop and can accelerate it out again. Another tunnel. Plop, plop, plop. Yay, and our agile driving up the hill. Here with the RS5 and whoa, awesome. I mean, the performance is definitely there. Yes, the M4 does have a more loose rear axle in that rear-wheel drive version. And if you put the M2 mode there, you can get really loose with the rear axle. Not unlike here where we have the all-wheel drive. Yes, we have rear-wheel bias, but still there's always power on the front wheels. So this is then the main difference. However, I really think that the interface here between human steering wheel, so human car and the road, is better here with the RS5 because the steering wheel is smaller, somehow cooler, Alcantara surface all the way around, and I mean it has the right size and also the better steering ratio. I think it just feels more precise and gives me a better balanced handling feeling for this vehicle here. Oh, let's catch up to this Jaguar F-Type right there. Wow. I mean, awesome performance from the engine. Oh, now silent and slow for that doggy. Always respect, of course. So then we can go again. I mean, yeah, it's such a well-balanced feeling here with that vehicle. That is really awesome. That's what I love about the RS5. Once again, if you like it more extreme, if you like it more loose, then you will be happier with the M4. But if you like it very well balanced and at the same time super sporty, then the RS5 is for you. And yeah, just again, steering feeling and the whole, the whole user interface, I have to say, starting from the interior and also then from the driving interface is, let's say, easier here with the RS5. And now to our conclusion for today, BMW M4 Coupé versus Audi RS5 Coupé. Which one would you pick? Tell me in the comments. For me, I have to say, I would go for the RS5 Coupé. Why? Well, let's start with the exterior. The M4 is more this screaming out racy car, definitely with this new front grille. It's not that the RS5 wouldn't look aggressive in a way, but the M4 with some elements here and there, both exterior and also on the interior, always says, I'm the more racier vehicle. Also that you can demount a part of the head restraints for the helmet wearing and so on. And when you go into this M shifting mode, that stays in the manual gears directly and so on. So small details that say more, yeah, I'm more suitable for the racetrack. You can take the RS5 Coupé on the racetrack anytime, yes, no problem. But still, the RS5 Coupé is more when you enjoy a little bit more comfort while driving sporty in your everyday driving life experience. And the M4 is more when you say, yeah, maybe sometimes I do think about visiting the racetrack. So at the end of the day, it's a question of a little bit racier or a little bit more comfortable. And my choice would be the RS5 because the moments in your everyday driving experience, even if you drive sporty, the moments where you can experience or have more, more comfort experience are just more often than the moments you have like, yeah, I want it racier. So I think you profit more from the experience of the RS5 Coupé. Of course, for acceleration, for example, they come quite close, and in other elements they also come quite close, for example, of the space that is being offered. So at the end of the day, it's personal preference. My preference then for the day, RS5 Coupé, but definitely both are super, super fun cars. And I hope you enjoyed this episode for today. Really looking forward now to your choice.